All right, we're back for another episode of Beyond Coaching.
Hang on, I wasn't seated. Start again. 3, 2.
We're back for another episode of Beyond Coaching using the professional podcasting room at Friends University. Pretty cool.
I feel big time.
Yeah. So we're going to have a topic today. I didn't prep Dustin on at all, just to see his reaction. So listening yesterday to a podcast called The Knowledge Project with Shane Parrish. It's one of the ones I always listen to. And he was talking about motivation. He was interviewing an author that I don't remember who it was, but the author's talking about, he goes, he published this book like 10 years ago, didn't go well. And then long story short, I'm probably missing a lot of the details, but a video clip of an NFL player reading his book on the sideline of a game about mental toughness gets shown on TV, and then his world changes, and he talked about how he wouldn't change anything, even though he had 10 years of the book not selling, because he was so passionate about the topic, right? So just the motivation for the topic. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then Shane Parrish, the guy interviewing, who's unbelievably smart, said, he goes, I have a confession to make. He goes, my book ended up on the New York Times bestseller, and my first thought was like, I proved this person wrong from 20 years ago. So Shane then said he had heard motivation described as clean and dirty motivation. Clean motivation meaning pure, I'm just altruistic, trying to do the best I can, like that author he's interviewing. And then his would be dirty motivation because he's trying to prove that person wrong, who probably doesn't even remember his name, made an offhanded comment. I thought that was pretty pertinent to our athletic world because we always hear about the haters or holding on to this thing or that thing. There's a lot of dirty motivation in our world. So riff on that a little bit for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think dirty motivation, it is motivation, but it will be short-lived, or it will not be near as fruitful. So take someone with the motivation of, let's take for athletics. I want to grow young people. I want to teach transferable skills. If you're a Christian, hey, I want people to encounter Jesus, and I'm using sport to do that. Or, hey, someone said I couldn't, and so I'm going to do everything I can to hold a trophy, to achieve something. One, I think there's a big caution sign there because it almost feels like, hey, whatever it takes. So the treatment of people, colleagues, and it's just not very much fun. Everybody's done that in some way, right? Everybody's accomplished or done something to say, see, I can do it. And at the end, it just doesn't feel near as good.
It's a powerful motivator, though. I think you can achieve what you're trying to achieve, but then you're Michael Jordan on the Hall of Fame stage accepting the Hall of Fame basketball award, and you say, oh yeah, remember that high school coach that didn't do whatever. And it just comes across like, man, did you enjoy it at all? Did you run over everybody on the way through? And that's where I get stuck of, it can lead to achievement. I truly believe that, that the dirty motivation, but is it healthy? Probably not. And as a coach, can you lead well and holistically with dirty motivation? I don't know.
Yeah. And would you agree or disagree? I think that could be different individually versus as a coach over a team. So when Jordan says that, and I think coaches do that, you've done it. I know I have done it where you're almost picking a fight at times to motivate. And all of a sudden there are naysayers that no one else has heard of, but boy, you're telling your team, people don't think we can. Like, who said that? Yeah. So I think there are times that people try to use that motivation. But I would also say, again, I think about Bobby Knight's son. Okay. And I don't know him. So, forgive me on this, but at some point the Bobby Knight method didn't work anymore with this level athlete or today's athlete, modern athlete. Agreed?
Yeah. Okay. Give a 20-second to everybody who may not know who Bobby Knight is.
Yeah. So Bobby Knight, Hall of Fame, historic, Indiana University basketball coach. Incredible motion offense, incredible coach. His coaching tactics and methods we would call incredibly old school.
That's
grab your jersey, scream, throw chairs,
kick the guy on.
Yeah, right. So like, I mean, just temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Okay. Now also players would say that they loved him and he loved them, but from the affect, it sure didn't seem that.
Yeah.
His son takes over a team down in Texas, and for a year they have incredible success, right? They have incredible success. Now listen, I don't know that world, so I'm this is a blind, I'm guessing, coached a lot like his dad, right? Same tactics, same. Yeah, it didn't go well the following years. At some point, that type of motivation for this current day athlete, I don't know, man. I don't see. Do you see it?
Not from the coach. I think it can work, but it has to totally be who the coach is.
Yeah.
And I think they have to be really good in the office or off the court, off the field, building relationships and building trust.
What do you think talk about the negatives of a coach that uses clean fuel, we'll call that, and the negatives of a coach using dirty fuel?
I think the dirty fuel is pretty obvious. It's you're totally reliant on external factors, or quite frankly, making stuff up. I think a lot of coaches do that to create negative fuel, and players for that matter. And yeah, I think the other negative there, it goes against what we're in ICP finding in research, where kids are saying they're motivated by the relationship and the ability to get better and all these different things. That has nothing to do with, that random person said you can't do it on social media. Yeah. Can that get you through a day or a game? Maybe, but I can also see it causing emotions to get run away and run away in a negative way and get even worse. So that'd be my opinion on the negative of dirty motivation. On clean motivation, I mean, we're kind of idealists, so we obviously see it there, but I think it can leave you at times, and you can argue against this, where you don't have the elevated emotion that a team using dirty motivation has. And that can carry you through a game or a week or a tournament maybe that you don't have. And I think the other piece, I'm going on a tangent here, so feel free to bring me back, but I've thought if coaches, I always thought I experienced this as a coach, if you're doing a really good job of building purpose beyond the sport, cultivating a sense of identity beyond the sport, some kids are going to get worse. Some kids are going to get better because there's some freedom to go out and perform, but some, when they're like, yeah, this is just part of who I am, it's kind of silly, they're not going to be as motivated because probably they're not using dirty motivation and they won't be as good. So that may be a negative on clean motivation. I don't know. I just rambled. What do you think?
I'd push back. I'd say that, yes, I can see where that may have happened. I think for players who want to be great, when they understand the freedom that comes with this not being everything, this not controlling their identity, I think it gives them freedom for that. But at times, and dare I say, for the players who know, like, hey, there's no chance I'm going pro, which is most, right? But even those of us hands in the air that have some crazy dream that, oh man, somewhere I could play for a minute overseas, then yeah, I think that comes into play. I think on the dirty motivation, I think it lends itself to more chances where you're going to say or do the wrong thing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because it's so much about, I don't know, sticking it back in your face or saying, see what happened there. I also think
it drives me crazy hearing about the haters and those motivations, just stupid.
Well, and
they don't exist most of the time.
And I think it's short-lived. At some point that it doesn't work. And and the other thing is, I think this generation of athlete is smart enough. You've said earlier that coach better be really authentic to who they are. Man, if that is not you, you've said this multiple times, they will sniff it out. Yeah. And so, I think it's really difficult in that. Think of.
Let me go. I have two thoughts for you. One, I do think dirty motivation's real. I can think of one or two people in my mind of like, we achieved something in the last year and I think back to that person and there's a little bit in me that screw you, you know?
Yeah.
But I think the other piece, and I want to argue with you, when the clean motivation piece. So again, going back to some of the research we've done, one of the top 3 motivators for over 1,000 kids we surveyed of college athletes is
at all levels of excellence
is their family. And I think we need to slice and dice this to get to know it more. But I think one of those pieces is families have been so committed to, we're going to pay what it takes, go to the travel club, do this because we're going to get a college scholarship. Then they get to us. And I think there's a lot of challenge there at the college level and you may get beat out and somebody needs to be blamed, all this kind of stuff. But if that kid gets a handle on the proper perspective of sport and their identity, there is a chance they get worse because all of a sudden they're not competing for mom and dad and this and that, and they can have some freedom to heck, maybe, I don't know, maybe I don't like this after all. Mm-hmm. And I think we do see that where they're in it because they're family and that's what they've done. Then they get a wider view of life. Like, I don't know if I even like doing this or if I've ever liked doing this. So,
well, let's take that maybe a different episode. When you say that, I think about in the past how student athletes communicate with their parents about something.
Yeah.
And then you may communicate with that parent and be like, well, hang on. I just talked to Johnny and we were good. But yet that conversation, because of exactly what you're saying, is radically different because maybe the parent wants it more or they don't. So I even think about parent communication, which we should probably do a whole episode on. I think sometimes it stems out of that. So the other thing I hear you saying is, as a coach, how do we push for excellence within our sport, within our team, wins and losses, yet give proper, what's this all about? We're talking about identity, and can you have greatness in that? I think when players understand their role and dive into that, I think it becomes more fun. Yeah. Whether that's a player that's on the playing field or not, I think when they come to terms with that, if they believe that, I think it becomes more fun. But you're probably not having a player in a role position or a non-playing position adding value that's not using clean fuel.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so what does that mean for the coach? Incredible communication, platforms of, hey, you add value here, even if it's not in the stat line. Those are hard things and they take time.
And I think there's layers to that. I just had this experience last week, actually, where in one of our sports, we got a couple older guys on the bench and good guys, but they weren't overly engaged in one of the recent games. And the coach addressed them and said, hey, we got to have you there and have a blast, be goofy. I don't care. But so they're making jokes on what they're going to do during the game, like do the worm in a big play or whatever. And the coach didn't know how to do this, but I actually went over and interjected, said, hey, love the energy, love what I'm seeing. I think you should take it up a notch and even do it to a point where it's going to annoy coach because I know he told you to go for it. So get over that line and let's see what he does. And
you would.
And they did, in a good way. It was positive. It was fun. And all of a sudden them owning that role, I think they're probably having more fun than if they were playing every minute.
Yeah. So go back to this. When and how in a coach's, we'll use the word maturation, when does it become clean fuel only? When is it, hey, is it after a championship? Is it after I remember winning a region championship for the first time in, I don't know, over 100 years, right? When I was coaching basketball, and a coaching friend of mine, Dean Jaderston, said, this will change how you coach. It will change how your players perceive you. And there was truth to that. And I don't want to say there was a deep breath, right? Because now I wanted to do it again and go further in the national tournament. But there was a confidence piece that, hey, we've done that. Like we've crossed that mountain, now headed to a different one. I don't know if that meant everything from there on has been clean fuel. Yeah. I would also say to you, when I became a golf coach, not really ever coaching golf prior to that, my heart wasn't dirty fuel. It was, hey, how can I take the things that I've been a mess on before or messed up, and how do I learn to make those better? It's almost, I keep saying it's been like a do-over.
Yeah. So I don't know if it changes after you win, because I think there's some of the human condition where you want more.
Yes.
And I think if done intentionally, and I think it takes, quite frankly, a great boss and a great mentor and a lot of different things to harness their perspective. But if not done well, I think it creates more pressure of like, okay, how am I going to do it again? And I've seen coaches kind of cave to that pressure, stop enjoying what they're doing. And if you don't, whatever it is at the end of the season, you accomplish year before, if you don't do it again, it's all a failure.
Yeah.
Which we know isn't true, but I think that's human nature. I feel it too.
Yeah. No, that's good. I don't know. I don't know how you separate those fuels completely throughout.
Yeah.
I think what you do is you get better at managing.
Yeah.
You get better at understanding.
That's
okay. for instance, and we're friends but you're my boss too. And so if you say something, I don't take that as, and there are several areas I need to work on. When you say that, I don't take that as dirty fuel. I think that is, okay, I'm cared about, I'm loved, saying it because wants us to be great. Now, how can I go and do that?
Yeah.
And then come back and have dialogue and say, hey, yeah, this has been really fruitful. There's a difference even in how we perceive that criticism.
Yeah, that's well said. I think the dirty fuel version of that is screw him. I'm going to do it my way and prove it wrong. Or I saw a tweet this morning from a cross-country coach in California, I think it was, who won a state championship. What he tweets about is, in 3 days, I haven't heard from the AD, the principal, or any of the Board of Education members.
Wow. Yeah.
I read that tweet. I'm like, what are you in it for? That is too bad they didn't congratulate you. Now you're airing all your dirty laundry. You might not be a coach there anymore.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of layers.
Yeah, it was good. Cool. Clean fuel versus dirty fuel. I like it.
Yeah, and you did good. You didn't prep at all on that.
Thanks, man.
So,
appreciate it.
Everybody, thanks for listening, and until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Beyond Coaching. Beyond Coaching is a podcast developed and produced by the Impactful Coaching Project with the support of Friends University. The Impactful Coaching Project seeks to develop coaches that coach the whole person and is the thought leader in coaching the 21st century athlete. The Impactful Coaching Project produces training, information, and research to help coaches improve. To see more information, go to impactfulcoachingproject.substack.com. Thank you.